So, Johnny, we were talking about litigation finance. As investors shun equities and bonds because of the COVID-19 pandemic, could they potentially consider this uncorrelated class?
Well, yes, as you say, because of COVID-19, we are actually seeing an increasing number of litigations and prepacks. Indeed, if you look at this chart here, you can see the situation in America. They're potentially predicting that if we take the statistics from 2008, we could see the number of bankruptcies and companies going into liquidation substantially rising. And therefore, we're likely to see more and more cases requiring funding from litigators. Now, it was back in 1967 that the UK changed its law to enable litigation financing. And then in the 90s, the Australians really started getting into this as an asset class, because it was between 1997 and 2002 that roughly 2% of litigation financing funding was actually financed. And now in 2017, 2018, nearly 80% of all litigation is actually financed. So that market is now spread to America and Brazil and Singapore. And essentially what litigation financing is where a fund or an individual actually pays for another person to take their case to court because maybe they can't afford the costs of the court fees and what have you. Many people think that litigation financing is binary. You win a case or you lose a case. But actually, somewhere around 90% of litigation is settled out of court. Often it's settled on the court steps, as people refer it to. And we also find that with mediation and arbitration, it's not right or wrong, guilty or innocent. They may come to a sort of compromise. So what we're actually saying historically that larger cases were being financed, much more complicated cases. But now with the advent of blockchain, AI and machine learning, we're seeing people creating portfolios of litigation. So you're not relying on one or two cases, but maybe a whole collection of smaller cases which they can smooth out their returns. So it looks like potentially the market for litigation financing is set to grow quite substantially, and it could well be an interesting area for people to keep an eye on because of the returns from litigation financing have been uncorrelated with other investments.